Hi, my name is Jola Ayeye and I am a champion.
Jola Ayeye is a writer, producer, and podcaster who uses her platform to challenge gender norms, shift narratives, and empower audiences to question stereotypes. Before the microphone, there were books. And as founder of The Happy Noisemaker, a book club where both genders convene to read and discuss selected books, Jola has cemented herself in the industry as a force known to speak honestly about topics that affect everyday Nigerians, including about relationships, culture, and the society at large.
I spoke about gender equitable storytelling to a fantastic room of creators. So content creators, screenwriters, filmmakers, journalists. It was pretty cool. So for us, gender equitable storytelling interrogates and also gives something to aspire to. So it's basically how we interpret the world that we see as is, and then what we want people to aspire to. So when you're talking or exchanging ideas with your friends, you have your worldview, and you're talking to someone and they have their own worldview. And a lot of times we get, if you're with someone that you care about and you understand each other, you're able to have a cool discussion and you agree to disagree. But when it comes to gender equitable storytelling, the way I see it is, I want to tell a story about what it is to create in Nigeria. And I could go the regular route where I don't interrogate why people do what they do. So I can say, oh, in Nigeria, these are the things that we constantly, that's even the first question. These are the stories that we tell all the time. Oh, the rich man finds the okay girl and then he loves her so much, he doesn't care. She marries him and she teaches him one thing and he says, okay, there's no problem. And they live happily ever after. We don't interrogate people's backgrounds. We don't interrogate like people's decision making because we feel the need to wrap everything up in a neat bow. We don't develop like complex characters because we want to see right and wrong. And so you put people into binaries. So it is rich, wicked woman, poor, humble girl. Nigeria, when a lot of us write stories about intelligent people, because we want to emphasize their intelligence, they have no other attributes or characteristics. All they are is smart. So a smart girl is rude and loveless and uninteresting. And a smart man is wicked and doesn't give a damn. And when he enters the office, everybody is shaking. And when he gets home, his wife is lonely. And the lonely wife is nothing else. She's just lonely. The children. So we have very strong, hard lines. And they don't see people as individuals. We distill them down to characteristics, and it's usually societal characteristics. So women are supposed to be a type of way, and anything outside of that is like a rebel. And the rebel either has to learn a lesson or be a champion. You can't be anything in between. Yeah. Right? Because your job as a storyteller, if the world was perfect, would be just right as you see it. But you sometimes have to accept that you actually have a responsibility. And how do you do that to the best of your ability? I think for people that are writers, sometimes it's a bit clearer, or journalists, it can be a bit clearer. But in the world we live in today as content creators, if you like creating food content or lifestyle content or comedy content, does that come in any way or does that make any sense? One thing I shared at the workshop that nobody really shared with me while I was starting out my content creation journey is actually to write what I know. There is a worry about creating stuff that has never been seen before, be imaginative. But I think the best place to start with is writing what you know. Don't push yourself to try and go way out of the box you are used to. What do you see? What do you observe? What do you know? And when you use that as a foundation, you can then start to create more and more creative, different, unique stories. So out of the conversation, we want to see where people's minds are at genuinely. So that when we're giving feedback about what we want to create or how we create or how people are thinking about what they create, because they have, everybody has like their own, I don't want to use the word agenda, but that's really what it is. And their anxiety is that to create not anxiety, but their idea is there are many ways to create a fairer world. And one of the ways is how you tell stories. So how does, in the zeitgeist, in popular culture, how do people see the roles of men and women? How do people see what's feasible and what's possible? What's okay in society? What should we be championing?
I think how I'm going to, integrate what I've learned in the gender equity storytelling workshop is that I want to focus on the basic everyday lifestyles of women, in this case, like the things that nobody talks about in the media, their motivations, things that push them to where they are, things that, tell stories, give backgrounds into how they got to where they are.
My favorite part of today's event was the question and answer segment because everyone just had ideas that they were looking to get some kind of validation for and also to see how far their visions can go. And the back and forth with the question and answer was very insightful.
Full of takeaways, right? But I think what was reinforced for me is being extremely obsessive, like being in love with the art of what you actually love. Like you would be able to tell great stories and good stories by consuming and like being obsessive and loving the art, right? That way you get to see things beyond the base level.
For Jola Ayeye, storytelling didn't begin with speaking. It began with listening, reading, and even questioning. Why are women always edited down? Why are their truths softened or silenced? Then she did something radical. She said it out loud. Is it that women talk too much? Or is it that the world just isn't used to hearing us?
Being a champion for me means the opportunity to learn a lot more about how I can improve my storytelling in the most gender equitable manner. I'm learning already that there's more than one way to do that and there's no actual correct way. It's just you have to keep trying till you get it right. It means I'm able to mix and learn from other creators, from other filmmakers, from other storytellers like myself and see how we can collaborate to make our work even better. We're currently talking through women empowerment themes, and the theme that we're talking about is showcasing equal access to resources. And so Damien and I were trying to figure out how to showcase what it looks like in an office setting for men and women to have access to resources at the same time. Some of them might be informal after work drinks or after work catch up, and how that might be difficult for a woman to do those things because she has household obligations, and how it's possible for us to switch that narrative or show an office that is cognitive of that. So they are aware that, oh, she might not be able to come for after work drinks, but you know what we're doing on the weekend, or making more of an effort to include her in those things. Yeah. The hyper competent provider, hyper provider. So that's the beginning and end of the person's character. There's nothing else. They show them as this busy, hardworking person, doesn't listen to anybody, doesn't talk to anybody. Usually, the moral of the story is that he will lose his family, lose his girl, then the business will still crumble. So what does he have? Nothing. Just that kind of, the runs girl archetype is also here. We also have something that I found very interesting is this flip-flop where you either have, in a bit to overcorrect the long-suffering woman, you have a bitter career woman. So she works and makes money, but it's almost like that has hardened her to just that. She's resentful of the fact that she has to work very hard and nobody sees her. Then now comes in, if it's a Nigerian version of a romance, it's now also a hyper provider who wants to break down her walls with his own money. It's money versus money. It's not really two people. So there's that. Another thing I find a bit worrying at the moment is I'm seeing a lot of, particularly with skits, because of the attention deficits, there's this, I don't know how to explain it, but it's the Nigerian as a joke. Regardless of whatever it is, that the Nigerian the Nigerian individual is fundamentally funny beyond anything else. So it doesn't matter what the story you're trying to tell is. When it boils down to it, you find that we're no longer thinking of the situation. It's just the funny. And because we all love to laugh, I find that initially it was a thing of you laugh and you think. And you laugh and you think, but now we're just laughing. Like there's no more, there's a constant like trying to flatten. So it is, the suffering is funny, the enjoyment is funny, everything is funny. And I've been looking more and more, it's just this thing of we're being flattened to just these funny people. And we're not really thinking about what the story is anymore.
Always only to have sensitive conversations, difficult conversations. You just always thought it was important to be as honest as you possibly can, and also alienate people by emphasizing academic language or trying to always be extra politically correct. But I do think what this course has made me think about, and I'm probably going to take back with me as we continue with what I said, is the degree to which we push. I think sometimes we want to keep things light and we want to keep things easy. So sometimes it's just taking things a step further to interrogate conditioning and why we do the things we do, not just explaining how what we do is dangerous or harmful or just not optimal for everybody. But I think I want to figure out how we can go a step further, think a little deeper, have conversations that are a bit trickier. I think we do a good job, but there's no reason we can't do a great job. So I think what I'm going to say is we're definitely going to try to take all our conversations a step further and interrogate where your thoughts are coming from.
As co-host of I Said What I Said, Jola Ayeye didn't just build a podcast, she built a cultural mirror, a space where women hear the thoughts they've buried, spoken back to them boldly, where discomfort is not avoided, but examined. With her platform, young people of both genders have come to accept that success is not measured only by certain standards. Instead, success can be whatever you want it to be.
I think and I'll take it back to what I said before about not allowing yourself to be anxious over others, because remember that this is two things for you. It's something you enjoy doing, but it's also your job, right? So I don't think, there are tons of accountants saying, where is this report going? What's this report going to do in the world, right? They do their job and then they deploy the capital they get from their job in line with their ideology, their beliefs and their needs. But I don't think that you should be bogged down as a woman in a space that it can turn misogynistic very quickly, right?
When we think about entertainment, what people consume, and I guess where people take the first point of information from, creators typically come to mind. We are most likely almost always online consuming content from content creators, and that means that the responsibility is on creators essentially to inform, to ensure that people are educated, and also to ensure that the thing that they create, whatever content it is in whatever form or format, is not something that essentially worsens the situation in terms of gender equity, but also it just helps people better understand, what are the demands of, our time, helps people be more responsible.
We just had a conversation about what people want. We were just saying what do they want. And it was only, when I was in university, a big, it was a philosophical thing. Where do your wants come from, right? None of your wants are in a vacuum. Everybody likes to feel like they're independent, and there are things that are similarity based on culture. So if you meet a Yoruba girl Christian parent in the 90s, we all have a lot of similarities and we have a lot of ideologies around. Those things don't come in a vacuum, right? But if we're all such unique people, how come when you have these markers, a lot of your desires are the same? And one of the things that's very difficult as filmmakers from specific cultures, we don't realize how powerful our cultures are and how much of our condition. So sometimes you really think that your thinking is independent and that you want what you want just because you want it. But the reality of the situation is, what's then happens when your wants change? And that's what the point is. If you are a woman who has always wanted to be a housewife, and everybody has said that that's what you want, why is such an issue when you wake up and that wants changes? Why is such an issue if your partner is so excellent at money and you are the one that's bad at money? How come over time, if you improve
and you want to take on the reins, right? For partners, I want to support you. I've gotten better at this thing. Why is it now an issue? Why am I having arguments if my modes have changed, right? Nobody ever has a problem when a woman's when a woman's wants change from independence to subservience. But when your wants change from subservience to independence, there is an issue. And that's what is difficult to design storytelling around. And it's because our conditioning tells us that a woman's subservience is natural. That is a natural order of things. So it is more natural for you to want certain things than others. And that's why there's like friction constantly.
Talk about that, like what we would like to see as opposed to what the reality is. I remember there's an ad. I remember just saying, "Mommy in the kitchen cooking rice."
So when was that?
It didn't have. There was this idea of like, daddy goes to work, mommy comes home, or even social studies textbooks at the time, they don't even have mommy going to work. She didn't even go to work. It was daddy goes to work, mommy takes care of the house. When you come back from school, and then you have your chores, then you show like the daddy and the son washing the car, mommy and the girl are in the kitchen.
That's Maximilian.
Yeah, Maximilian textbook. So I think sometimes I wonder, and that's a question, but we can bring it up now. I wonder about this idea of what we would like to see as opposed to what the reality is. Because one of my favorite things about digital media is sometimes ad agencies will have these dreams and they go ahead with the dream of like, oh, let's change let's change the narrative. And they'll do something that they think is very interesting. And then maybe you see like a vox pop, right? Of somebody talking to everyday regular people. And people, you say something, maybe the person asks a question about, oh, men, Afi, do you cook? And then you just hear a Nigerian man saying, is this Telemundo? Like just and you kind of now remember that actually this is where we are, right? And there's the aspirational type of content and there's stuff that as we're having these discussions, this is what we would love to see. But sometimes I think in a bid to be forceful with our storytelling or let's reimagine situation, it starts to feel like there's TV land and there's the real world. Almost like for the sake of advertising, for the sake of ticking boxes, this is what we'll portray, but everybody knows how it really is.
For me, the main takeout was just like how intentional we need to be around like gender storytelling. So trying to be progressive, like trying to ensure that people are able to create work that is not stereotypical, that can like advance like the scope of possibilities for the people who are consuming the content.
Because gender equitable storytelling isn't always polite. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't dilute the truth to make it easier to swallow. It says the thing everyone is thinking, but few are willing to risk saying. As a writer and a relentless reader, Jola understands that stories shape power. And for too long, power has shaped which stories survive. So she interrogates them, reclaims them, rewrites them, not as a performance, but as truth-telling.
Nigerians are not stupid. They watch Game of Thrones, they're not foolish. We act like our audience is consistently the most rabid, daft. Let me explain what I'm trying to say. We are consistently afraid. We hide behind the Nigerian audience instead of being honest about what we want. We want to make more money. And that's fine. But we have to stop pretending that there's only one kind of audience member. And stop. My whole thing has been stop condescending to the audience. Not everything we do incredibly well, but I'm just trying to encourage myself to take more risks. And sometimes you teach your audience what they want.
Yes.
Yeah. They don't know until they see it.
Yes.
They don't know that they care about certain conversations till they hear it.
Yes.
Right? And so it's something that I realized. I remember when we hired our new social media manager, and one of the things she said was she can guarantee us virality based on how she cut certain clips. And she did. She'll cut it so that you actually sound crazy. Nigerians love it. That's what she kept saying. They love it. They love these types of conversations. They love it. But I also then realized that you can't hide behind you can't hide your interest behind the idea that your audience only cares about one thing or likes one thing. Right? I want to make more money. I do want the validation of seeing my work go viral. But if that is the only thing I'm chasing, I will never ever do things that matter. Never. I will never do things that matter. So that's been a big thing for me, figuring out how to teach the audience what they want.
Like, I mean, I remember watching a movie with a friend, and in the movie, it was so funny. This is like a Nigerian movie, and it was just one scene where the guy had done something to upset his children, right? No, it was in My Father's Shadow, and he apologized to his son. And the person I went to watch the movie, we started laughing, said, "My father, if I hear." But it wasn't uncommon because he muttered it, but the guy in front of us was like, as in, basically like, where is a Nigerian father coming to meet a small boy to be like, "I'm sorry I made you angry," or "I'm sorry I did that." And it's something as simple as an apology, right? So I think I'm wondering to what degree we're talking as content creators, well, let's be lofty in our ambitions. Let's speak out. Let's create what we want to see. To what degree are we like whining ourselves, honestly, in the environment that we're in? Like, how does it make sense?
For me, the main takeout was just like how intentional we need to be around like gender storytelling. So trying to be progressive, like trying to ensure that people are able to create work that is not stereotypical, that can like advance like the scope of possibilities for the people who are consuming the content.
Up with someone who is clearly of higher standing, a boss, not necessarily the owner of the company, but a boss is speaking to a male member of staff he's very fond of. You can see it in their body language. They're laughing and they're talking informally about some sort of like after work drinks. They're making reference to that. They crack a little joke, and then the boss reminds him that, "Oh, by the way, the memo that has gone out, I hope you've really put in your application, or you're considering making a strong application for a promotion that's coming up." And he's like, "Oh yes." He's also reminding him to make sure that he doesn't just do the application blind, but that he speaks to whoever had the job just before him. So they are friendly, they are warm, they are entertaining, they're having a good time. But then this is a one-on-one meeting. He leaves and lets his colleague, a woman, know that, he's ready for you. So she comes in. Now you can see the interaction change slightly. They're not as friendly. There's no reference to after work drinks because they haven't built that camaraderie. However, it is clear that he still encourages her to go for the same promotion. It may not be as warm or as friendly because they haven't built the same level of camaraderie, but he does tell her that he thinks she has a strong chance. And he gives her the exact same advice he gave the same guy. The reason why this is important to us is because we are trying to show that even though you don't have the same camaraderie, you have the same access.
Yes.
Flat. So the friendliness that he has with his male colleague, because they built this outside of work friendship and relationship, doesn't affect the way he understands his junior subordinates and capabilities. And so he looks at the time, sees that his work is about to close, encourages her once again, and sends her off.
So I think it's my responsibility to break stereotypes as well as to sort of like challenge the norms of what's attainable and what's not attainable. It's my responsibility to make people understand that gender equity is not a conversation for a particular set of people. It's a conversation for every single one of us, as it affects every single one of us. Every one of us has a gender. And so we should be in conversations that enables every gender feel like they're equal.
And my takeaway was that everyone really does want to do the right thing. We want to tell more honest, full-body stories about men and women. But sometimes we worry about the audience's readiness, about how we'll be perceived. And sometimes in thinking about short-term legacy, we lose sight of what our work does in the long term.
In every laugh, every hot take, every uncomfortable question, there is an invitation to think deeper, speak louder, and exist fully. Because when one woman dares to say it, she gives thousands permission to do the same. Because when one woman dares to say it, she gives men the opportunity to question their own positions as well. And Jola is just getting started. This is why Jola Ayeye is our champion.